got injured. Follies on Broadway.
Yeah, Follies on Broadway.
That
sorry.
ended. No. You've lived a varied life and career. So that then took you to Australia. Is that right?
Yeah, I went back to school in Seattle, and I worked. I was putting myself through school, working as a bartender, a singing bartender, and I met my first husband, who was an Australian in the Royal Australian Navy.
Okay.
And he was working on the HMAS Sydney, which was built at Todd Shipyard in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And so there were a number of brides who went back to Australia, and that's where I finished my degree in accounting. And I worked in business for a long time,
Sure.
and accounting, and got my master's in Scotland.
And by this time, you still had not started writing books.
Actually, let's see. No, I hadn't written. I didn't write a book until after I got my master's degree,
Which was in Scotland.
Yeah, and then I was back in the United States, and it was kind of funny. I read a book that was by Tom Clancy, who's one of my favorite authors. And it was ghostwritten, but I didn't know it at the time. And I thought, this is awful. I could write, I could write like this. And so I actually wrote a thriller that was even worse. And it's in a deep grave, which will never be exhumed. But that was my first. And then I wrote another one that wasn't any good. And then life happened, divorce happened, all kinds of things. I had a child that was a lot of work. And, even when you have a child and you got to take them to their lessons and all of that, it's just really busy. Working was busy, and so I didn't write another book until I was transferred to Utah in 2010, and that book was the first book I got published, and it was a historical book, Native American, but I went to a place called Parowan Gap, which is in the middle of nowhere in southern Utah, and I'm looking at these petroglyphs. I mean, they're everywhere. And I'm like, I had no idea what they meant, and so I bought a book about, what they, how to interpret them, and I went to a presentation that was done at Parowan Gap. And on the summer solstice, the sun rises and it goes between the gap between these two hills. And I learned that a lot of the petroglyphs were about the movement of the sun and the planting season and the gestational season and when to hunt and on and on and on. But I had this idea for a story, and I'd go on these hikes and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And so every night I'd come home from work and I'd write, and I'd write, and I was so excited. It was that passion that drove it. And it actually won an award, the manuscript did. It won 2 awards. It won the Utah League of Writers Award for Best Manuscript. And then in St. George, Utah, it won what they had was the Spark Book Award, which was sponsored by the library.
Okay. What was the title of that one?
Coicto, and the title has changed to Boy Man Chief. I got the rights back and self-published and changed the title because people didn't understand that Coicto, it's a Hopi name, and they didn't understand what it meant, and so. So
did that kick off a passion for historical fiction?
It did, and I've always had a passion for history.
Sure.
I grew up in a Victorian house, and lived in one for a long time, and I've always loved history.
Mm-hmm. So, how do stories come to you now? That one came to you because you saw something that really impacted you. How do they come to you now?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot of times from my research, from Scottish research, if it's the Scottish historical. I will find something in genealogy. Not necessarily my own.
Sure.
But it'll be something about a laird, and something that happened to him or something he did and got in trouble, and so I'll dig a little deeper, and then I'll start with a sentence saying this book is going to be about this and this person and how this happened. And then
almost like a mission statement.
Yeah, it's a mission statement. And then it's like, what if this happened? What if this? What if? So I plot, I do about a 5-page plot document on, how the story's going to flow and who the main characters. Then I develop the characterizations, sometimes I use horoscopes to get down to the personalities. A lot of times I use the anonymogram for personality traits.
Sure.
Like adventurer or perfectionist or questioner. That's all in how they link together and how they interact with the other pieces of the star.
Sure.
So I do all of that and work out, what drives this person's motivation and their goals, motivations, and actions, and then start writing.
Okay. Forgive me, I'm a director and producer and actor, and storytelling is what we do.
Yeah.
That's not at all how we do what we do, and it's fascinating to see. Not only is it work for you, it's successful. You're not only a multi-award winner, you're also a USA Today bestseller. So this isn't a flight of fancy necessarily. This is who you are.
Yeah.
How did you find that process?
Oh gosh, it didn't just dawn on me.
Right, no.
Like I told you, my first couple books
were
horrible.
Yeah.
And so I had this passion to write, and so I went to writing workshops, and you can find them all over the United States, where you learn different things about plotting, characterizations. There's all sorts of books out there. Unfortunately now there's all sorts of bad books out there, so you've got to find the good ones. And a lot of times you can get recommendations from people who are in the industry who, this book is really good about plotting, like The Plot Whisperer. That is a really good tool to use. Donald Moss, his writing the breakout novel, it really gets you to thinking, because it's not just this happens, then this, then this, then this. It's what are all the things that are going on to motivate this person, and what is going to make it worse, because that's how story works. It's like this unexpected thing happens and makes things worse, and you need to get to this goal over here, and it's just put you over there. And so
I keep dancing around the words world building, and you, as you're doing this with your hands, you're building a world. Like you literally are building a world. So it's in-depth world building.
Yes, it is.
Crazy.
And the setting, and how the setting becomes a character, and how the setting limits you, especially historically. And historically, though, you can do a lot of things that you can't do now because there isn't the forensic information. And
friends of mine and I were talking how old movies, books, whatever, you read them now and you're like, oh, this plot is solved by a cell phone. Like, there's so many plots are just like, oh, if they had a cell phone, this is just credits, Like, So 49 titles. 50 is coming next, 2026?
2026,
okay.
Yes, because I've slowed down.
Sure, yeah, you're allowed.
Okay.
Do we have any secrets about it?
Oh, well, it's set in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And it actually opens where the heroine, it's a mystery series called Old Muddy Mysteries. And she is fleeing New York on a train because she was the midwife to a woman who died, who happened to be the wife of an important judge, and he is out for blood. And the bounty hunter finds her. She's thinking her life is over. The train crashes, and she winds up finding a skiff or a dinghy, and ends up in the Mississippi. It's a tributary that flows into the Mississippi, and she's pulled to safety by a paddle boat that's on its way north to La Crosse to deliver things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So look for that one coming in 2026. You can find it at amyjarecki.com, is that right?
Yeah, and that one, I don't even have a cover for
Sure.
it
Yeah.
yet.
We got a whole, literally a calendar year to go yet.
Yeah.
So, but you'll find these
lots of
titles and the other
books.
49, amyjarecki.com. That's right here.
Yes, thank you.
You find them on the socials as well. We didn't even discuss how you and your husband are living in a historically accurate Victorian home. Yeah. There's so much to talk about, folks. We barely even scratched the surface. So she is Amy Jaerecki. She's based right here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. She is the January Artist of the Month for WI Proud. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.